The next thing we want to talk about is rounding. We will have to do a lot of rounding of numbers. And so it's really, really important to understand exactly how to round. Somehow we all think we know, but it doesn't always quite work right. So one of the first things we need to be sure we understand are the names of all the place values. So I've got my decimal point right here. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimal places on the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decimal places on the left. So going from the decimal place left, the 6 is in the ones place, the 5 is in the tens place, the 4 is in the hundreds place, the 3 is in the thousands place, the 2 is in the 10,000s place, the 1 is in the 100,000s place, and the 4 is in the millions place. Make sure you know these, very important, but even more important is knowing the places to the right. Those we seem to have trouble with. So to begin with, going to the right of the decimal point, no, there is no such thing as once. Okay, we always start with tenths. And do you notice that every single word to the right of the decimal point ends in a THS? So when we put the THS on the end of the word, it means decimal point, okay? So to the right of the decimal point. So the 7 is in the tenths place. You see we've got the tens on the left and the tenths on the right. Again, there's no such thing as once on the right of the decimal, to the right of the decimal. We start with tenths. But everything else is pretty much exactly the same. We go tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000ths, millionths, and then we would keep going from there. 10 millionths, 100 millionths, billionths, 10 billions, 100 billions. Just like if we were going to the left after millions, not THS, just millions, then continuing to the left from there would be 10 millions, 100 millions, then billions, 10 billions, 100 billions. So make sure you know these place values, because the most difficult thing we have in rounding is not knowing where to round to. If we can't figure out where the place is, then we'll never get there. So now let's actually start talking about how to round. It's pretty simple, but we do need to follow the rules. Okay? So the first thing that we need to do, in this case, we want to round to the nearest tens. So I need to know what's the tens place. So this is what I always have my students do. Underline the place value of where you're rounding to. Now, if these numbers are to the left of the decimal point, then whatever comes to the right of our line, we just turn into a 0. Okay? Then what we have to do is look at the digit to the right of where our line is. If that digit is 5 or greater, then we're going to add 1 to the digit that we have underlined. And then we just add those. Okay? So 4 plus 1 is 5, and 7 plus 0 is 7, and this is our rounded number. Let's do it this way. Same scenario to the nearest tens. So I underline this. Everything to the right of that will turn into a 0. I look at this digit. Is it 5 or greater? No. So it's less then 5, then I just add a 0. 4 plus 0 is 4, 7 plus 0 is 7, and this is our rounded number. I don't like to think in terms of rounding up and rounding down. Okay, that usually gets us mixed up. Let's do a few more whole numbers. 2, 4, 1, 2. We want to round this one to the nearest 1,000. So turn this off for just a second. See if you can figure out where the thousands place is, and then we'll come back and look at it. Okay, so the thousands place is this 2, the 2 farthest to the left. So that means everything behind that is going to turn into zeros. Okay, so now I look at this digit just immediately to the right of my line. That digit is less than 5, so I'm going to add 0. 2 plus 0 is 2, and this is my rounded number. Okay, let's do one more. Negative 89,552 to the nearest 100. Well, first I have to figure out where my hundredths place value is. Turn this off, see if you can figure it out, then come back. So it's this one. Okay, so now everything behind that gets zeros. I look at this digit just immediately to the right of my line. That is 5 or greater, so I'm going to add 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. 9 plus 0 is 9. Remember your negative sign, and this is our rounded number. I'll come back and do a few more examples if I have time. Okay, so let's talk about decimals, because rounding them is a little bit different. Not a lot, but a little bit. So we want this one to the nearest, EST, tenth. No H. Math teacher can't write and talk at the same time. So TH says it's a decimal, so to the right of the decimal point. So figure out which that is, and you underline it on your paper where you're taking notes, and then come back. Okay, so this is our tenth. We are going to do exactly the same thing here, underline it. But now, instead of making these zeros, we are just going to get rid of the rest of them. Okay? But I still have to look at this guy immediately to the right of the line. He is less than 5, so I'm going to add 0. And so then this is 6 plus 0 is 6. Remember my decimal point. 8 plus 0 is 8. And this is my rounded number. Remember, we get rid of anything to the right of the line that we have put there when it's decimals. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, 0.0019. We want this to the nearest thousandths. Remember, the TH means the decimal point. So tens, hundreds, thousands. Okay, so now I know the 9 is going to go away. Okay, but first I need it. It's 5 or greater, so I'm going to add 1. And then this 1 plus 1 is 2. 0 plus 0. And then my point. This is my rounded number. Okay, let's try another one. 6.0035. Okay, so nearest hundredths. So tenths, hundredths. Oop, I need hundredths, not thousands. Tenths, hundredths. Remember, these are both going to go away. But I need to look at this. It's less than 5, so I'm going to add 0. And that's 0, 0, and 6. Now, do I need these two zeros? Absolutely, because it said I had to round to the nearest hundredth. Even if they come out to be zeros, I need to show both of those places because I was asked to round to the hundredth place. Okay? Let's do one more here. 136 point. Actually, a couple. So to the nearest cent. Well, that means dollars and cents. Well, how many decimal places does cents have? Well, it's 2 decimal places, which is hundredths. Hundredths. So tenths, hundredths. So I'm going to round to there. Okay? So that 5 is going to be gone, but I still need this guy. He's 5 or greater, so I'm going to add 1. And so that's 10. 4 and 1 is 5. 6. And that's our rounded number. Let's try this one more time. 0.495. And this one to the nearest dollar. Well, dollar is ones place. So here's the ones place. But everything else to the right of that is still decimals, so they're going to go away. Okay? I need to use this guy still, though, before I throw them away. He's less than 5, so I have to add 0. So that's 631. But I don't put any decimals because it asked me to the nearest dollar. Okay? I don't need them. Let's go back and do, I have a little bit of time and just a couple more examples of whole numbers without decimals, just to be sure that we're getting these. 325 to the nearest 10,000. Thousand. Not 10,000ths. So this is ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. Okay? So everything behind that is going to be zeros. And if I had decimals, then we just throw them away. Okay? But I still need to look at this guy. Well, he is greater than 5, so I add 1. And so 4 plus 1 is 5. And this is my rounded number. Okay? One final one. Negative 83,904.278 to the nearest 1,000. Now be careful, it does not say THS, so it's not this 8. That would be tens, hundreds, thousands, but it doesn't say thousands, it just said thousands. So ones, tens, hundreds, so thousands. This is the guy I need. So everything behind that back to the decimal point is zeros, and the decimals we're going to throw away. This guy I still need until I'm done. 9 is greater than 5, so I add 1. 3 plus 1 is 4, and 8, remember my negative, and that is my rounded number. Okay, there you guys go. Have fun.